Hey, so if you've ever gotten to the end of the month, stared at your bank account, and thought, where on earth did all my hard-earned money just go? Well, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're doing things a little bit differently. Think of this explainer as a practical, no-nonsense workshop designed specifically for working adults who are ready to take immediate, tangible control of their finances. Whether you're a student stepping out into the real world, a young professional, or, someone who's just kind of been putting this off for years, we are going to break down everything you need to know. The best time to understand your money is always right now, and by the end of our time together, you'll have a clear, actionable plan.
Let's kick things off with a number that honestly should probably scare you a little bit. 78%. That is the percentage of people right now living paycheck to paycheck. Just let that sink in for a second. We aren't talking about a small minority of folks going through a temporary rough patch. We're talking about the vast majority of people around you. It's a very serious reality, and it's absolutely crucial we normalize this struggle so we can actually fix it.
And what's really fascinating here is how this completely shatters the usual stereotype. When we hear the phrase paycheck to paycheck, society kind of assumes we're talking about people who are entirely broke or folks without jobs. But the truth? These are people who are working every single day. The real reason they're struggling probably isn't what you think. It's not inherently that they don't earn enough money. Actually, it's an education and skill issue. Nobody ever sat them down and taught them the one foundational life skill they needed: how to budget.
So, how do we fix it? We learn the skill. Here's our quick syllabus for today's explainer. 1. The financial GPS. 2. The 50-30-20 rule. 3. Avoiding budget traps. And 4. A 4-step implementation.
All right, diving right into section 1, the financial GPS.
Now, before we do any math, literally before we even glance at a single bank statement, we have got to dismantle the anxiety and the stigma around managing money. Mindset is half the battle here. A budget is simply a financial GPS. It's a plan that tells every dollar where to go before you spend it. People hear the word budget and they immediately think of a financial prison. They think of restriction, sacrifice, giving up their morning lattes, and cutting out all the fun. But that is completely wrong. A budget doesn't stop you from going places. Just like the GPS in your car, it just helps you get to your destination without getting totally lost along the way. It's kind of like a giant pie, right? Without a budget, random expenses just come along and take slices. Coffee here, an impulsive online purchase there, until you look down and there's absolutely nothing left. But with a budget, you intentionally decide exactly how that pie gets divided up. You tell your money what to do, instead of looking back at the end of the month in total confusion at where it went. Remember, your true financial power lives right there in the gap between what comes in and what goes out.
Moving on to section 2, the 50-30-20 rule. Okay, so we know a budget is a plan, not a prison, but how do we actually split our money up? We use the famous 50-30-20 rule. You take your after-tax income, the money that actually hits your bank account, and you simply drop it into 3 buckets. 50% goes to needs. These are your non-negotiables like rent, utilities, groceries, and insurance. 30% goes to wants. This is your lifestyle: dining out, Netflix, the gym, travel. And yes, these things matter. Life is meant to be enjoyed. Finally, 20% goes to savings and debt. This bucket is for your future self, building an emergency fund, investing, or aggressively paying down loans. The best part? You don't need to track every single penny perfectly. You just need to manage these 3 buckets.
Let's make this totally real. Say you take home exactly $3,000 a month after taxes. According to the rule, $1,500 of that goes to your needs bucket. $900 goes to your wants, and $600 goes directly into savings or paying down debt. But what if you're a totally different persona, making, say, $5,000 a month? Well, the beauty is the math scales right along with you. $2,500 for needs, $1,500 for wants, and a full $1,000 to savings. Now, what happens if your actual spending blows past these intended limits? Well, if your needs are eating up way more than 50%, you've got to look for ways to reduce your fixed costs, maybe getting a roommate or negotiating your bills. If your wants are out of control, it's time to review and trim those endless digital subscriptions. And if your savings are below that 20% mark, you need to make filling that bucket your very first goal every single time you get paid. Keep in mind, this is a framework, not a cage. You can adjust the percentages a bit to fit your life, but the structure is what keeps you safe.
Next up, section 3, avoiding budget traps. Because knowing the 50-30-20 rule is really only half the battle, right? We also have to navigate the bad habits that quietly ruin our monthly plans. I want to proactively warn you about these so you don't fall into the same traps that derail everyone else. Let's rapid fire through the top 3 mistakes. First, forgetting irregular expenses. Things like car maintenance, holiday gifts, or annual subscriptions always feel unexpected, but they really aren't.
We know birthdays happen every single year. You've got to plan for them by setting aside a little bit each month. Second, making the budget way too restrictive. If you cut all the fun out, I promise you will abandon the budget within 2 weeks. Give yourself permission to spend on things you enjoy, just do it intentionally. Third, forgetting to review it. A budget is absolutely not a set it and forget it thing. Your life changes, your income changes, your expenses change. You need to review and adjust your plan at least once a month.
And that brings us to the final, and honestly probably the most fatal trap, waiting for the quote-unquote right time to start. Look, there is no perfect month to start budgeting. An imperfect budget that you actually use beats a perfect budget sitting unused in a notebook every single time. Taking imperfect action right now is always better than flawless inaction.
Okay, let's wrap this up with Section 4, our 4-step implementation.
Time to move from passive listener to active participant. Here's your concrete, step-by-step action plan. Step 1, know your exact after-tax income. Add up everything coming in after taxes. Be precise, because this is your baseline. Step 2, categorize your last 30 days of expenses. Pull up your recent bank statements and categorize every single transaction. Let me tell you, this step is usually an incredibly eye-opening experience for people. Honestly, it's often in the best way possible because you finally see the real truth of your habits. Step 3, apply the 50-30-20 rule to those numbers. Assign your income across the needs, wants, and savings buckets. And step 4, choose a tool and stick with it. It doesn't matter if you use a fancy app, a basic spreadsheet, or literally just the Notes app on your phone. The absolute best budgeting tool is simply the one you will actually open and use.
As we close out this workshop, I want you to remember this one thing. Financial freedom starts with a single decision. The decision to just pay attention. A budget is simply a plan that tells your money where to go. We've covered how the 50-30-20 rule splits your income naturally, how avoiding over-restriction keeps you on track, and how starting imperfectly today is your absolute best move. Now, financial freedom for sure doesn't happen overnight, but taking this first step to just pay attention to your money matters immensely. And hey, you just took that first step by being here. I want to leave you with this question to chew on. What is the one thing about your money that you want to control this month? Really think about it. Maybe it's curbing that daily takeout habit. Maybe it's finally starting that emergency fund. Or maybe it's just knowing your exact income. Whatever it is, you now have the tools to make it happen. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I can't wait to see you take command of your financial future.